Hi Year 6, welcome to day 10 of an introduction to Shakespeare. This is our last lesson for this week. I hope you've enjoyed it, learning about the Tempest and all the different characters. I think you're all pretty good experts on Shakespeare right now as well, so well done. Okay, so your LI for today is to show an understanding of the plot of the Tempest, and I think you are pretty capable actually of doing this task without much help, because you have read the plot summary, you've looked at the videos, and we've looked at character yesterday. So I think you must have a pretty good understanding of the story. Okay, so we're going to talk today about how Prospero is a powerful wizard and how he uses his magic to change the environment around him and also the people around him. Okay, so first thing I would like you to do is create two spider diagrams. One spider diagram will be a spell that you might create, or some ideas for a spell that you might create for one of his magical moments. So it could be when he created the storm in the sea, or it could be when he tried to make Caliban his slave, and so he put a spell on him. So in that spider diagram, you are going to include words that he might use for his spell, actions that he might use, because he has a wand, so the actions that he might use, or his hand gestures that he might use, and you might put in some of the examples of what he wants to change. So the sea was very calm, and then he wanted it to be quite dangerous for the boat so that it crashed. Okay, and then a second spider diagram is going to be where you display a new power. So maybe put some ideas down. What kinds of things could be his new power? What could he do? What spells could he do to give himself something more powerful, something new, a new skill? So it could be maybe that he's learning to fly. It could be that he can make people invisible. He might be able to make people fall in love. So think about lots of different things that he could do. So that will be your second spider diagram, just ideas of new spells. Okay, now from those two that keeps in PowerPoints, from those two spider diagrams, I want you to now write your own spell. So you need to use, make it almost quite poetic. Okay, so you need to be thinking about alliteration, repetition, imagery, onomatopoeia, rule of three, and rhyme. All of these things we've talked about previously when we've been looking at descriptive writing. So think about what you could do to make your spell really enchanting, very poetic, quite mysterious. You might want to put in a few nonsense words in there that sound quite magical. And underneath it, you need to explain, if you haven't in your spell, explain what you would like to happen as a result of your spell. Okay, so pause here and do this task first. Take your time. If you want to draw a picture to go along with your spell, that is fine as well. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the genre of the Tempest. So remember, genre is what type of story is it? Okay, so after his death, when his plays were collected together for the first time, the book was called Shakespeare's Comedies, Tragedies and Histories and Tragedies. This implies that genre is important to Elizabethan audiences. So this book, if you see, there's a picture there of the original book, which was printed in 1623, and it was after his death. But they've put together and they've said that the main genres of his plays were either comedy, history, or tragedy. Okay, so let's explain what that means. So comedy, in his plays, there was often marriage, humour or farce, which is fakery, mistaken identity, quarrels, surprises and twists, wit and foolishness. In history, it will be about right or wrong, ruling, power, Englishness, honour, language and violence. And tragedy would be more about death, pain, suffering, betrayal, revenge, pride, anger, chaos and power. So now, looking at those ideas, what do you think are the genres of the Tempest? So there is more than one genre. One of them is revenge. So have a think about what other ones you could have and see which one it fits into. Does it fit into comedy, a history, or a tragedy? And then write that in your books, please. So this is your opinion, what you think. So one of the themes of The Tempest is romance, and Shakespeare has done a lot of work or a lot of plays that are based around romance. One of them obviously is Romeo and Juliet. So towards the end of his career, Shakespeare moved away from traditional genres and blended comedy and tragedy together into romance, sometimes called tragic comedy. So the common features of this romantic genre is tragic or potentially tragic elements at the beginning of the play that are resolved by the end. Older men are more prominently featured. Young lovers are a part of each play but are not central to the plot. A redemptive plotline with a happy ending reuniting long-separated family members, magic, and other fantastical elements. So now I want you to add romance to your genre list if you haven't done so, and I want you to find some points where you think the Tempest has shown love. So one of the ways is obviously the love between Ferdinand and Miranda, but there is other love in there, okay? Not just between a man and a woman. You might find that you've got father and daughter love. You might have love between two friends. So there's lots of different elements of love in there. And then romance obviously is going to be more about Miranda and Ferdinand as well. Okay, so have a look through and see if you can find it. Look through the plot summary and see if you can find some examples of romance. Okay, as usual, please make sure that you're sending your work to your Year 6 email address, which is year6@grange.harrow.sch.uk. And have a lovely weekend, and I will speak to you on Monday.